All right, we are live.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to the Middlesex County Library Board Tuesday, November 24th, 2020 meeting. And I'm going to open it up by uh, calling the meeting to order and asking for provisions of disclosure of pecuniary interest or any general nature thereof. And seeing none, I'll move on to the minutes of the Library Board meeting held on October 27th, 2020 and November 5th, 2020. Looking for a motion to approve them if there's no questions or comments. Moved by Mary Gay, seconded by Ruth Adams. Any further questions or comments with those minutes? Okay, all in favor? That's carried. Next, we'll do the visioning topic, and you're going to walk us through this, Lindsay?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So I'm just going to share my presentation, get it started here. So I'll be doing something similar to what we did last year, which is at this meeting, I'm going to present basically half the budget, the items that we can confirm now and that we're planning for now. And then at the December meeting, I'll come back to you with the full budget. I'm still working with Treasury staff on the salaries and rent and all of that. And then working with IT staff on the technology budget. So those are big chunks of the budget that will come back to you at the next meeting. And I'll get that document out to you ahead of time so that you can have it to refer to as we walk through that presentation in December. Hopefully you'll be able to see the figures that are on the screen. I hope they're not too small or anything. So just to get started, so like I said, this presentation talks about revenues, operations, collections, and branch development. And then at the December meeting, we'll be adding in the salaries, rent, technology, and capital projects. So it's for 2021, it's a challenging budget year to plan for. We know what our service level is right now. We know what a normal service level looks like and what we can budget for, but we don't know what that timeline is going to look like. It's not set in stone over the next year. So that's one of the challenges that we're looking at and trying to calculate for over the 2021 budget. It especially impacts our staffing budget and our programming budgets. So we'll discuss those aspects both at this meeting and in the December meeting. Long term, we had our last emergency control group meeting on yesterday, and an interesting question came up, I think, that we're all asking ourselves and thinking about. We're hearing more about vaccines. We've got a few that are proving to be really effective, thinking that, people will have the opportunity to get that vaccine in 3 to 6 months or something. But what will things look like after that comes about? What does the next year look like? And so there's a lot of unknown questions, right, that surround COVID, thinking, what is the long-term effectiveness of this vaccine? Is this going to have an impact on what we do in the libraries for the next year, 2 years, 3 years? So those are some of the thoughts that we have to kind of keep in the back of our minds when we're looking ahead and working on this budget. We need to think about what will people want and need from the library. There's a small population right now who want to come back in and want everything to be exactly as it was back in February, which we can all understand. When we do get to that point of opening further for greater public access, there are also going to be those people who may not feel comfortable in those situations. Sitting at a computer after distancing restrictions are even taken away, will people be comfortable sitting at a public computer 1-2 feet away from someone else? Or will we have to think about making those long-term changes to our spaces? So that's another thought when working on this budget. Just bottom line, what will we need to do to continue to keep both the public safe and staff safe over the next year? So these are some of the things that are built into the budget that we'll discuss. So we have these challenges, but we still want to pursue new projects, continue to innovate, bring in aspects of our new strategic plan, and move the library service forward. So all of that will come through in this this 2021 budget. So the first element that we'll look at is revenues. And so on the slide before you, you can see that we anticipate that our provincial operating grant will remain the same. So just over 134,000 for the year. There hasn't been any information coming out that this will change for 2021. Early on, again, we anticipate that our operating budget for that service will remain the same, so at 350,000. Just to give you an update, we are in the process of applying for the Early Learning and Childcare Innovation Grant. So this is some federal funding that we would use to offer some really innovative programs and services that we can't do within the current operational budget. So that's an opportunity that we're working on right now. Application is due next week. So Nadine and Cindy and Joe from Social Services, we're all working together on these applications for the funding. The next line there is Social Services. So in 2020, there was $106,500 allocated from the Social Services budget to the library budget, a transfer there, and that reflects the rent that Social Services pays to the library in order to use office space. So that is one figure that I'll be working with Cindy on and confirming what that will look like. And that will likely change or may change because of how we're moving, offices from Strathroy Library to Strathroy headquarters. So we'll have that number for you in the December budget. And then looking at donations, fundraising, fines and lost books, and other revenues. Other revenues is printing charges that we charge for prints that are made from our public computers. So we do anticipate lower revenue for these three lines over 2021, and that's based on what we're experiencing now. So we have not been collecting fines throughout the closure. Because it was a barrier to access for some members of the population, some of our users, and then the money handling challenge as well. So because we aren't currently set up at our branches to receive payment through credit card or debit, which is something that we're working on. So we wanted to avoid that cash handling as much as possible. We are still collecting money when someone has lost a book and they want to pay for it in order to then access more materials. We are getting some revenue from when someone wants to print a large number of kind of personal documents, anything that's job related, anything that's government information, employment, that sort of thing. Those prints are free right now. So overall, those revenue lines have decreased for 2020, and we anticipate that it will likely be the same situation in 2021. And so that's why have estimated these numbers as being 5,000 for donations and fundraising, because we are still getting some donations, some regular ones that happen every year, and we're very grateful for that support. And we're trying to do some innovative things with those funds. Fines and lost books as well. I've estimated 5,000 for those here, and other revenues, that printing revenue moving down to 3,000. So I'll continue to keep an eye on those numbers from 2020 and make any adjustments to this before we come back in December to look at those numbers. And then the final line here is our surplus. So for 2020, our surplus was $164,329.10, and we do anticipate a fairly significant surplus at the end of the year. So this relates primarily to the staffing budget because of our reduced service level and our inability to have branches open there for a number of months. So the request will be to you that we carry this over into the 2021 budget and apply it to offset the 2021 budget there. Any questions on the revenue side? Next, looking at operations. So these are funds that support the day-to-day running of branches and of library headquarters. A few items that I'll go over. The next slide contains the numbers. So just a few points. We'll look at branch supplies, our library admin funds, the travel budget, training budget, and advertising and marketing budget. So those are a few of the lines that I'll touch on with this next slide. So looking at office supplies, this budget line for 2021, I do have it increasing by 10,000 in order to accommodate the continued purchasing of PPE and cleaning supplies. So that's been where the bulk of our budget this year has gone towards, and those are just going to be ongoing costs as the health measures are in place and as restrictions continue. So overall, the operations budget remains the same dollar value in total, and I'm sorry I neglected to include that total. So I've just shifted amounts around to offset those additional costs. So you'll see office supplies has increased by 10,000, but then if we go down to travel, you'll see that in 2020 our budget was 30,000, and in 2021 I have it as 20,000. So that's where that $10,000 will come from, because we aren't operating at our standard or regular service level. We don't have the same number of people filling in shifts and traveling around the county. That's where the bulk of our mileage costs do come from, is when someone is off sick or on vacation, shifts need to be filled at an alternate branch, then mileage is paid. So for the next year, we anticipate that we still won't have those regular demands on this budget. So that's where I've pulled that 10,000 and moved it up to office supplies, where the need is greater right now. So that's branch supplies. Library admin, office furniture and equipment. So I have this budget line staying the same for 2021, 12,000. And it's anticipated that these funds will be able to support any additional furniture or equipment that's needed at headquarters when we transition that space and accommodate the social services staff who are coming in. So we'll be able to draw from that. Where library staff are moving to different areas of the building, we'll be able to use this budget line to help outfit those spaces and make sure that it's as seamless a transition as possible. So that's the equipment line. Library internet costs, we anticipate remaining the same. Staff training, I kept the budget the same for 2021 at 22,000. And one of the items that I want to focus on in the first quarter probably will be to plan and organize a virtual staff development day, because we did miss that in 2020. We had been planning an event in May, and so that was derailed. And so this year we'd like to focus on at least one event, possibly more than one, depending on how the year goes and how far we can stretch the budget. But I really think it'll be a great opportunity to bring everyone together virtually. Maybe get a really dynamic speaker and some interesting training that we can participate in as a group. So that's what we'll be working on in 2021. Memberships have this remaining the same. So this is to Provincial Association, our kind of regional RUPLO group that we meet with. So Administrators of Rural Urban Public Libraries of Ontario. So no changes to those lines. Postage and deliveries. So this again is for the postage that's used to mail books from the branches to headquarters. And then for our weekly deliveries. Right now we are doing more deliveries than we did in 2019 in a normal situation, so that we can get those materials back out to the branches as quickly as possible. But we've been able to work within our existing mailing budget to accomplish that in 2020, and I anticipate the same in 2021. Telephone and cell phones remaining the same. Advertising, again, keeping this budget line the same. So this pays for advertising for programs and services. But as well, this year we'll draw from this to work on signage at the Ilderton branch. So the old sign kind of fell apart a year or so ago. We were waiting for the early on space to be finished so that we could create signage that incorporates both the library logo and the early on logo. So we're looking forward to working on that project. Legal and consulting staying the same. Our insurance anticipates that it will remain the same. And then bank service charges and audit as well, remaining the same for 2021. So again, the only lines here that are changing are office supplies going up by 10,000 and travel budget going down by 10,000. So balancing to our 2020 numbers there.
Lindsay?
Yes.
Yeah, I got a question back at a sheet, if you could, on the advertising, the sign for, that's a sign for Ilderton Library. What type of sign is that? Is that similar to what we've done in Otherwoods with the words on it, or the messaging, or is it just a sign? Not just a sign, but a sign that just states Ilderton Library and early on.
I anticipate that it will just be, a standard,
Okay.
wood or whatever material sign. It won't be a digital sign. That's not, if there's the opportunity to partner with an organization or with the municipality on that, then we'll definitely, we'll get in touch with Middlesex Center on whether they have thoughts or plans. But at this point, what's in the budget now would just be kind of your standard.
Okay.
Sign.
No, that's fine, because I just know our process through the years has always been to have a joint effort with the municipality with respect to those signs if they are digital signs. So thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So collections is the next budget area to discuss. So our purchasing procedures, the way we allocate our collections budget has really changed over the past year, obviously. And the question now is, has our reality over the last 7-8 months, is that going to be our ongoing reality, where we have really supported people and encouraged people to transition to digital collections, to ebooks, e-audiobooks. We have magazines, streaming movies and TV shows, as well as online learning opportunities. So it feels like, we've really maybe turned a corner to encouraging more people to kind of transition to this new way of accessing library resources. And this has just been that push that people needed, I guess. We still have demands for print collection materials, and we're obviously still filling those, at our curbside pickup, and we're still purchasing physical items. But we feel like this is a change. People aren't going to automatically switch back to physical resources. There's going to be a different balance, is what we anticipate moving forward. So that's something that we have to plan for. Again, within this proposed 2021 budget, we're keeping it at the 2020 level, so $471,000 for the year, but shifting those amounts around within that budget. So like I said, we have additional demands for digital collections. We've added or plan to add some new resources. So we've added another streaming movie service and documentary service called Canopy. That came out a month or so ago. We're adding Access 360. And so this will be a platform where we'll lend basically like a digital quick pick collection. So those will be items that are a shorter loan period. They're available for a week. We're going to focus on those items that have high hold demands. So a lot of people are waiting for them. So they're the newest books and newest titles that are available, and there won't be any holds on it. So we think that this will really appeal to people who are maybe looking at Cloud Library right now and seeing long waits for items. They can put themselves on the hold list, but then they can switch over to Access 360 and see what's available then. Kind of like you can stumble upon the perfect book that you wanted to read. That's what we hope to accomplish with this new collection. And we're working on that agreement right now. So it may even launch before Christmas. And we think that our users are really going to like it. And then something that we're looking at for 2021 subscription is a product called Udemy. And so this is another online learning platform. So similar to Gale courses that we currently offer, similar to LinkedIn Learning or Lynda, which is a product that London Public Library subscribes to. So this is another platform where people can sign up for courses that they can, take to expand their skills, maybe on an employment level, or looking, supporting their career, but also just for kind of personal learning and interest. So that's one that we're looking to add to our collection in 2021. So that's built in the budget here. So we've also evaluated how our current e-resources are used. So the different databases that we subscribe to, and some subscriptions, we have planned to cancel them because of low or no usage. We had some duplication where we had, two products that were providing similar access to like articles and things like that. So we've trimmed down that list so that we can free up some funds to put towards Udemy and these other resources. Like I said, we'll continue to purchase popular and requested print materials. Of course, we continue to add to our physical collections. One item relating to the DVD budget is that fewer movies have been produced recently. So obviously that's had an impact on what we can purchase. And there's also currently less demand for kids DVDs. So those are some factors that have made us revisit the DVD budget. Print magazines, it's my recommendation that we do not renew print subscriptions for 2021 and then reevaluate that in 2022. And this is similar to what a number of other library systems are planning to do. The fact that it's just one more collection item that would have to go through like our quarantine process, and it just doesn't make really economic sense to continue to subscribe to something that doesn't always stand up the best to circulating. And so we do offer press reader access. So that's our digital newspaper and magazine collection, hundreds of titles available there. And again, that's one of our collections that have been accessed a lot over the past number of months. So we feel like we do a good job reaching people at home with this alternate to print magazines. So the next slide is the breakdown of what this budget will look like in 2021. So you'll see a significant change to our ebook allocation. So this budget is all of those digital collections, not just ebooks. So it's ebooks, e-audiobooks, magazines, and streaming video as well. So that includes Hoopla, Cloud Library, these new collections, Access 360, Canopy, all within that $158,000. Data subscriptions, so that is the databases, the e-resources that we subscribe to, so where you can access scholarly articles and research information. So I have increased that to $60,000 to support that subscription to Udemy. Our books, so this is going down by, so I've decreased this budget line by $20,000. So, a significant number, but not so much that it doesn't leave adequate funds for our print collections. So this is adult print collections as well as kids and youth. Paperbacks, maintaining this number at $18,000 for right now. That's something that we'll revisit as well throughout the year because there is some flexibility to rejig these numbers as we move on. Again, based on publishing, what's going to be available, it's hard to anticipate. So we'll keep that number in mind as we move forward. Book processing, because we are purchasing fewer print materials, the processing costs will go down. So I've budgeted here $28,000 versus last year's $35,000. Periodicals, again, so this is where there's a significant decrease. So I've left $5,000 in the budget to help support newspaper, so local newspaper subscriptions, as those are still being requested. And so we'll keep an eye on those to when we can add those back into the collection, safely. So that's what that line is in there for. Maintaining the same 12,000 for our books on CD, which helps support both branch collections and also a lot of our books by mail patrons. So those patrons who can't get out to a branch to pick up at curbside. Our videos and DVDs, like I said, fewer movies are being put to market right now. So that will likely change over the year as we move ahead and more Hollywood is, pumping out more content. But I have decreased that line by 20,000 as well, again, to reflect the fact that kids' DVDs are less in demand. I think a lot of families are, using streaming platforms instead for that content. And then reference. So these are items that are typically used in branch. It's not a collection that's getting a lot of use right now. So I have cut that budget in half to 5,000 for the year. And we'll likely be focusing on a lot of local history content that also falls into that budget line for the year. So overall, again, maintaining that 471,000, but allocating more resources to the digital collections for the next year. So our final budget line to discuss is branch development and programming. And so within this budget line, so purchase for services is what the budget line is called. It's devoted to programming. For 2021, we'll continue to focus on virtual programming. We've had some really good success, especially most recently with some of our take and make kits that we're distributing through curbside. Right now, we're supporting the Smiling Seniors Project out of London, where we're providing card making kits that people can come and pick up, kids and adults. They bring the cards back, and then those are distributed to our long-term care homes and retirement homes in the county. So we've had really great response to that, from families, but also from Girl Guides and Brownie groups in the community who can use these kits towards one of their badges. So it's just an interesting connection that we've made there. So we'll continue to pursue these programs, and this budget helps with those costs. We're trying to find that balance of virtual content, recognizing that people are a little tired of these, can be a little tired of Zoom programs and everything being online. We're trying to add to that with these physical kits and resources that people can pick up at curbside. So this winter we'll be launching a winter reading program for kids, similar to our summer reading program. So we're excited. More information about that will come out probably in January. We also have a teen subscription box program that we're going to be offering. So these are boxes of, a few fun kind of trinkets or kits, craft kits and things like that teens can sign up for, as well as collection items that they may not have seen or considered before. So subscription boxes are popular for every age. It's fun to get something, kind of a mystery box. So we're tapping into that. And then looking ahead to the summer, we'll be adapting again our summer reading and learning program for 2021, looking back at what worked really well in 2020, anticipating that it will likely potentially be a primarily virtual experience with some in-person aspects. But our staff, have shown that they're incredibly flexible and creative. And so, we'll plan one program, but be able to adapt it based on what we're able to do in those summer months. And we'll also continue to pursue co-programming opportunities with early on. So things like Ready, Set, Learn program that ran virtually in the late spring, early summer. Things like our story walks. I'm working with Nadine on plans to expand those and potentially create more permanent installations in communities so that we have, kind of the posts and the frames in place for the story walks, and then we can swap out new books as the year progresses. So that's one project that we're working on. We think always we accomplish a lot with our programming budget. It's not a huge budget line. It's supported as well by our supplies budget, so the two go hand in hand. But we've got some exciting plans for 2021 that we're looking forward to. And then as well, our branch development budget. So this budget includes general maintenance for our branches. Usually it's replacing things like blinds, furniture, extra steam cleaning. This year, it may need to include some additional cleaning costs depending on what happens, whether it's that we have to get a facility deep cleaned or something like that. We work with the municipality on those things as well, but it's good to have a little pocket of money for those situations if needed. As well, any additional COVID-related measures that will assist us with reopening. So I'm in the process of working on quotes and designs for more permanent installations at our comprehensive branches on the counter barriers at our service desks. And so hope to have those completed at the comprehensive branches by the end of the year. So then looking ahead next year, is that something that we need to add to enhanced branches? Or are the kind of movable barriers that we have in place now, are those appropriate for those spaces? So that's what this budget line could also support. And then looking at some other different projects that we want to accomplish, we may need to reconfigure our public computer areas to accommodate more distancing. Maybe, like I said, maybe make those permanent changes to space out our workstations. So that's something that we're looking at. Mobile shelving installations to help make our spaces more flexible and adaptable so that we can make those spacing changes. So looking at doing those installations potentially in Lucan and Kamoka. And then, as we talked about during our strategic planning visioning, our book dispenser or hold locker pilot project. So this will likely come up again next month in our capital projects budget, but some funds could be allocated from this kind of standard operating branch development budget to support a project like that, which we're excited to try in a community. So overall, again, this budget line overall staying the same, it's just shifting funds. So because we aren't doing in-person programming, which is where most funds are devoted to, I've just moved $5,000 from the programming budget down to the branch development budget so that we have those funds in place if we need to, put those counter barrier structures into enhanced branches, but leaving us enough money for the more innovative projects that we're hoping to accomplish in the next year. So next steps, again, like I said, working with Treasury and IT staff to incorporate the figures that they provide into our 2021 budget. Also considering other branch needs and capital projects. So we'll have all of this wrapped up together and bringing the draft budget back to you in December for your approval. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'll just stop sharing. There we go.
Is there any questions with respect to this vision and topic? I don't see any. Of course, I don't see a lot of faces either. But... Okay, well, if I don't see any, then I guess we just move on, right? Okay, next we'll go to action items. I don't see any action items or none. We'll go to correspondence, and I'm going to go through the list, and if anybody's got any questions, they could maybe, you might want to just shout it out if I don't see your hand. But the first one is their systems, resources and system internet usage to October 31st, 2020 with the 2019 comparison. And the library information is for November 24th, the system resource. Okay. Next is accounts payable to November 16th, 2020, equaling $86,885.93. Item 3 is library information, November 24th, system curbside pickup, internet appointments 2020. Next is item number 4, which is our library information, November 21st, virtual programming participation, October. Next, number 5 is our C5 is the library information, November 24th, social media activity, October. The next one is our C6, which is library information, November 24th, London Free Press, Middlesex Libraries. Lindsay had a comment on this.
Yes, so we've received the devices. They're at library office, so they come nicely packaged and protected by some foam in the little packages, so they'll be easy to circulate and receive back from patrons. Working on our procedures, and this will likely launch in January. Just to give you a heads up, our library technology specialist, Mallory Austin, she'll be going off on maternity leave at the beginning of January. So very exciting there. And we're working on her coverage plan as we speak. So she's helping us develop those procedures. We also need to leave a little time for her to train her replacement. So this project will definitely be ready to go in January, and we're excited about it.
Good, thank you.
And
next,
no, Jim, you are not the replacement for the technology specialist.
well, it'd be done right.
Yeah, it'd be done anyway.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Item 7, which is C7 is the library information, November 24th, early on in person calendar for November 16th to December 23rd, 2020. And item 8 is our C8 is the library information, November 24th, the Souls and Souls Service Focus Groups, November 2020. Lindsay, you've got a comment on this as well.
Yes, so this relates to the restructuring of the Southern Ontario Library Service and Ontario Library Service North into one group, basically. So I know that Mary Gay and Liz both attended information sessions, a focus group session that I wasn't able to attend. So at any time they may have comments and other information to add, but basically the merger, they've indicated that the merger was done for sustainability of their service. So, you know, their budget was decreased. And so in order to still provide service to both Southern Ontario and Northern Ontario, they're consolidating basically the overarching structure to the organization. So right now, as a board, you elect someone to represent the library at a regional group. That structure will still continue to exist. There will still be these regional councils where we'll send a member. And then from there, there's an election process for members from those councils to be elected to sit on the overarching board. The election, I believe, is going to be based on kind of population. So it's not like every council, I don't think that every council gets a seat, but there's still that connection to that overarching board. So I think there will be more information to come. This is what we have so far. Still working on what that means kind of on a staff level in terms of accessing resources and training through this organization. So I'm happy to try to answer any questions if anyone has any, but I'll bring more information back as this progresses.
Is there any question then with respect to this information for Souls? Okay. So just so Mary Gay will still stay our appointment to that board, right? That regional board.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. Item number 9 is C9 is the library information, November 24th, Pride Villager. Next one is C10 is library information, November 24th, a news release, park passes. Liz, you've got a comment on this, have you?
Sure. So we've applied for 3 park passes. They're for one-day use, one vehicle and its occupancies. So we'll find out in January confirmation that we're approved. We'll have 3 of these floating throughout the system. And with it, we'll be incorporating some library materials as well. So as another outreach outreach program that we'll be promoting here at the library.
Good. Well, that'll be handy. You just don't have any week camping passes, do you?
Unfortunately not.
Okay, just had to ask. Item number C11 is library information, November 24th, statement of revenues and expenditures. Any questions with that? So if there's no questions I look for a motion that item C1 library through C11 library be received for information. Moved by Brad, seconded by Warden Kathy Burkhardt. Yes. Jessup, any further comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Apologize, Kathy. I couldn't see you back in the sunshine.
I know.
You seem to.
The best place to do a virtual meeting in this office because I feel like, the heavens are screaming down on me. But anyway.
Well, they probably are. Any inquiries? See
I
none.
think Joanne has one, Jim, sorry.
Yes. Oh, sorry, Joanne. Go ahead.
Thank you. Kathy, if I was sitting in that office, I might fall asleep with that sunshine on me. I have had a couple of inquiries, and this goes to curbside pickup and computer appointments. I've had a couple of people ask me, and I don't know the hours of the pickup because I haven't used it, but they were asking if there could be some hours set aside during the week that are outside of work hours because they can't go while they're at work. So I'm just throwing that out at you to kind of visit. I can only speak for the Strathroy branch. That's where the questions came from.
Thank
Lindsay?
you. Through the chair, absolutely. I'll go, that it's ongoing process looking at those schedules, but I'll definitely revisit those and see what we can shift around. We've tried to balance some evening hours. And I know that we now have Saturdays at Mount Bridges, but not at Strathroy. So definitely for 2021, we'll be looking at those. So thank you.
Any other inquiries? Okay, new business, under new business, there's the list of the next meetings. Is there any question with those that take us to December 14th, 2021? Okay, thank you. The next we have is a closed session, and I'm going to look for a mover and a seconder that the next portion of the meeting be closed to the public in order to consider a position, plan, procedure, criteria or instruction to be applied to any negotiation carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board pursuant to section 239 2K of the Municipal Act. And I would like to have that motion to include that we have our library board and our as well as the warden and our staff members of Liz, Kathy, Cindy, and Bill at the meeting. Okay, so I look for.
So you're asking me to lead the meeting?
Yes, I just like the library board there. Mary Gay, that's a motion move, like a seconder. Ruth, is that your hand, Ruth? Yep. Okay, good. Any further comments on this? All in favor? Sorry, Brad?
Yeah, just wondering why we wouldn't include Joanne, Jim.
Well, it's a library board, Brad, and I feel it should be the discussion with the library board proper. Okay. Now that was on part of the motion. I'm going to ask for, and it's been moved and seconded. I'm just going to say all in agreement. Opposed? That's carried. Thank you.
Going to stop the live.